Grand Rising loves, happy Wednesday, slunge, and happy St. Patrick's Day. This is the altar spread for the collective consciousness. So how that works, because I skipped a couple days, is this is current to today. This is the message for today for the collective. Who is the collective? Every fucking body. Okay, so when I ask the question, I do my own draw, I put my card back into the deck, and then I ask for the collective. What is the greatest percentage of the collective? What is the energy that they're moving through? What do they need to know? So I also was told by Spirit to start talking about the planetary influences of the day. So Wednesday is a Mercury day. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Okay, so if you're a Gemini, be most especially aware that Wednesday is your day, okay? But Mercury rules the mind, thought patterns, and perception. So be very aware of that aspect coming through any of these cards today, especially, okay? So the hexahedron is a platonic solid. And so as all the platonic solids have, they are like a library and hold very specific wisdom. So the wisdom of the hexahedron is being able to see in all directions. It is a six-sided square, right? But it's a cube and you're in there and you can see from every direction, okay? But the message of the hexahedron showing up in a spread is saying that you have actually boxed yourself in without perception. So what it's asking you to do is to step out of that and look around and get a better perspective because you are feeling trapped. So are you feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, unable to move forward, feeling like you've plateaued maybe in your spiritual growth, or feeling like stuck in an obligation? An obligation is a construct of the ego. It's illusion. There is nothing that you are obligated to in this human experience. Nothing. Obligation is created by feelings of worth. Either you are trying to earn it or maintain it, and it's all bullshit. So the hexahedron is saying you need to gain better perspective of your situation in order to even step and make a move. So it's telling you to pause and get perspective, which is like the most amazing message to receive on a Mercury day. And so the tree of life showing up talks about maintaining balance. And I love the message of tree anyway. Trees are the ultimate. Oh, good, Mariah. I mean, not that it hit you in the gut, but I'm glad it's resonating with you. And you too, stay stopped. Awesome. I'm so glad that this is resonating with you guys. So the message of the tree is all about receptivity, right? Because they are stuck, literally. But through the energetic growth, that's how they actually dig and grow. So if you look at a tree, the tree can only ascend as high as its roots are deep. Its boughs can only spread as wide as its roots are wide. So that's why palm trees are very tall and thin. They have the deepest roots. That's why in the tsunami, the palm trees were not even affected. They actually caused more damage because everything that banged up against them was literally like a ball in a pinball machine. It was really horrific. But trees also teach us that it is necessary to have that balance. So it's not just the receptivity that we learn from the trees, it's the balance that we also learn from trees. Okay? So are you digging into your depths in order to express your truest self outside of you? The expression of self is what? Our trunk, our mind. right? And so if you are operating from the ego mind, you are really not expressing yourself, and you need to dig a little bit deeper in your roots in order to really express yourself. Okay? So if you're top heavy, especially on a Mercury day, meaning you're in your fucking head or ego, then you are not going to be able to ever sustain in the tsunami. Okay? And the gentlest breeze will take you out. So I'm just talking in metaphors, but let's be honest. Just stay balanced. The balance is, can you be fully balanced mind, body, spirit? And the spirit, the soul, is supposed to be the driver. It's always meant to be in the driver's seat, not the intellect, which is completely poisoned by the insidious ego, and not the physical body. The physical body literally is a biological suit to help you exist here. So the balance is letting the soul be in the driver's seat, and everything else just starts to align. It's beautiful how that happens. So gain the perspective today on a Mercury day. And when you gain perspective, you start to see like, okay, who do I actually have in the driver's seat? Is the ego in the driver's seat? Or am I putting way too much stock in the body? What's happening here? And that's how these two cards are going to work together. Because remember, these first two cards are always the energy of the day. What is the message? What do you need to work through? This is the tool of the day. And so for those of you who have been watching these videos for a long while, dun dun dun, this is like the card that's always hanging in the shadows. Like, remember me? I hope you haven't forgotten to do this. So I didn't put it back in the deck, because the universe will always give my ass a smackdown when I try to put it back in the deck. But this is chrysocolla. This is a raw piece of chrysocolla. Isn't that beautiful? But chrysocolla is sacred sounds. But what that really means is when you allow that soul, that spirit to be in the driver's seat, all expression of self is spirit. It's not ego. And it really writes your intent. It purifies the intent. And so what sacred sounds brings the message of it saying, every time you speak, you are teaching others who you are. You are actually either holding them captive or liberating them. When you talk from spirit, everyone is free. When you are speaking from ego, there are always captives, because you're not even being your true self. And so speaking from the spirit, which comes through the heart, you are giving them the most information about your authentic self. And so everyone gets to make decisions based off of that truth. If you think before you speak, which is what most people are taught, which is the worst fucking thing that you could ever teach a child. The best thing you can teach them is feel before you speak, feel before you act. But thinking before you speak, think before you do, is the biggest load of bullshit ever. Because you're asking them to access a database that's not even them. Ew. So chrysocolla is the feel before you speak. And that your voice is sacred. That once you put something into your voice to deliver it, if it's spirit, you are actually delivering a divine frequency into this earth plane. Wow. So just feel into that energy and see if you are actually editing. Are you holding your tongue? And when you speak, are you thinking before you speak, or are you feeling before you speak? Where are you speaking from? Are you speaking from your heart, or are you speaking from the mind? Just be aware of that. And so the culmination of today's spread is Amwata. It's the sage of higher knowledge. And I love the message of this because what it says is the only truth is the higher self. But you can only connect to the higher self by connecting to your inner self, which is the same message of tree, really. When you get, the deeper you get, the greater your truth. Oh, well, I'm sorry you're offended by my language, but you being offended is also ego. So I do not think before I speak, and I do not edit, and I speak the same in every environment. So I would challenge you, Stay Stopped, to feel into that and say, why do you have a problem with it? You said, I wish you didn't find it necessary to use profanity. Necessary means that I feel like I have to do it, and I don't. I'm just speaking. Everything flows through me. I'm not even using my mind. And those who have attended my events, workshops, classes, sessions, know that it comes through me. It's not of me. And so that's part of the unique blueprint that is Sherry. And so that's me. Okay. So Amawata talks about the sage of higher knowledge. And so the sage of higher knowledge talks about honoring the highest self, the highest path. And when you do that, you become a clear vessel, a channel. And so like that, like a good medium. Thank you very much for that. But really what I am more than a medium is a conduit, because it comes through me. And the more clear the vessel that is working through, then it's not poisoned by any other judgments or editing, because when you are editing, you are not yourself. And no one gets to perceive the authentic you. And so every time I allow myself to be authentically me, it also grants that permission to everyone I share space with. And so that's one of my greatest paths, is to do that for people, to show you that it's okay. This is actually a safe space, that no one will be judged in this space. And so anyhow. So Amawata, the higher knowledge, means that we are all endowed as a birthright to have the connection to that higher source of wisdom. Okay, so the highest source of wisdom is what you were created from. So everyone was born intuitive, not everyone is psychic. And so I'll just give you a quick rundown on the difference again. So intuition is our leading flow, right? And so when you are fully aligned with your higher self, not allowing the intellect to influence you, or the physical body, or outside judgments, or any programming, you get to follow the breadcrumbs of source, which is synchronicity. That's the flow. That will design your human experience. And intuition does that, because it's the spidey sense that leads you. Oh, I'm not going to go into that room, because you feel the energy that's not vibrating at you, at what you are vibrating at, right? Or this does not feel like, oh, thank you, Mariah. So Mariah's response was, I was just about to say, using profanity actually helps nurture the part of me that wants to just speak as I am. It gives me a raw and real feel. Thank you for that. And Amanda says, expectation is not heart-centered. It is coming from the ego. At Stay Stopped. So thank you both, ladies. Thank you, Mariah. Thank you, Amanda. And there is a difference between me saying fuck you to someone, which I don't do, which I probably should sometimes, but I don't, because that creates healthy boundaries, and saying it feels fucking like this. Okay, so if I was to say it feels draining or it feels fucking draining, there is a difference. It is a very wise explicative to use because it is universal and everyone understands the difference. And that is the thinking before the speaking, but actually it just comes through me. That's all. So at Stay Stopped, I don't think anyone's offended by what you said. We're just all trying to understand it too. But we're all growing, even myself. As long as we are in the physical body, we are all still healing. So even the Grand Dalai Lama is still healing. Otherwise, I would have transcended this damn body a long time ago. We better know that's right. So anyhow, it's acceptable in all platforms, Stay Stopped. So he says it's all good. I use it that way as well. It's just not always acceptable in all platforms. That is the problem with today. Why do we have to edit? Why do we have to be a different person in any forum? No. And this is where I get to say, fuck that. No. That is what we have to heal. That is what we have to heal. And so Mariah says, and the reason why I'm reading back your responses is because I post this to my YouTube and they don't get to see the writing. So Mariah says, at Stay Stop, not intended to attack you, just offering my personal perspective. And Stay Stop said, thank you all. Yes. So we have to be the change. And I recognize also that we are one and there is only me. So this is me talking to many facets of me. And I actually do love you all without conditions. This is me being heart-centered me. I mean, that's me. And so anyhow, and I'm still healing the parts of me that create wedges to love. That and I know where it shows up. It's not showing up in this forum, and it doesn't show up in my sessions, and it doesn't show up in my teaching, and it doesn't show up in my friendships. It shows up with intimate relationships. And that's when it shows up, because I tend to be like, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? And it's like, no, just let go, Sherry, let go. But that's the deep trauma that I have that I'm still needing to heal. It's like, and probably the scariest thing for Sherry in the human experience is surrender in intimate experiences. So I can surrender everywhere else. I'm good. I'm the tree. Yes. And so I'm a New Yorker raised in Jersey, Stay Stop. So thank you for sharing that. You're from Jersey. And so that's part of it, right? I mean, sometimes that energy is a little bit turned up for the West Coast, but it's okay. They're not my people. And that's also the weeding out process, right? I vibrate where I vibrate, and those that vibrate where I'm at will resonate with me. So anyway, Amanda, that's right. Where is it acceptable to come from? Anyway, so we could talk about just this literally for hours, just profanity in itself, because it's intent is everything. Okay. So I'm just going to say that. And that's back to sacred sounds. Intent is everything. And there is never a moment that my intent is not from the heart. So that. So even those words that some think are venomous truly aren't if they're said from a very specific space. They have power in them. And the intent is what you should feel into. And so when you are listening with an open heart, the same as I am speaking from an open heart, you can feel the frequency of that and the power of what we're speaking. So, and I hope that everyone, I don't care where you're at or who's listening or whatever, that you always speak from that space. And if some feel like, ooh, they're not listening with their hearts, and let them go. And that's part of also learning the non-attachment, which can be a painful lesson in the human experience, right? Having to let go, because that can feel like rejection to the ego and to trauma, but it's not. It's actually clearing space for what is meant to be. So that is the spread for the day. Thank you all so much. And thank you for sharing your most valuable commodity, your energy, with me in this space and time. I appreciate you all so much. And I am so thankful for that. Yes. I love that. That was almost poetic. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, and I am sorry for any disharmony that I myself have created. Please forgive me. And thank you for this opportunity. I love you. I love you. Happy Mercury Day.